just that one change from the team selected last night, and that's Podge Delaney coming in at right half back for Stephen Picky-Marr. Jack Kelly will partner Fiachra Fennell in the centre of the field, and Paddy Purcell also comfortable at centre field, but today he's at 10 and right half forward. Well, the scene set as Antrim move into position, and this such a big encounter for both these counties. The victors would emerge to play either Clare, Cork or Waterford next Saturday, but for whichever county loses out here today, defeat will be a bitter pill to swallow. Our match official is from the O'Loughlin Gales Club in Kilkenny. His name, Sean Clear, and with that, game on. Straight away, Fiachra Fennell on the offensive. Podge Delaney lets fly from way out the park, and what about that for a start? Just 8 seconds on the stopwatch, and Podge Delaney helping himself to a very fine score indeed. And to his confidence, a power of good as Antrim go short on the puck out. Malloy. Clever ball, no tracking run. James McNaughton was available, but instead, winning the free on his own strong run was Aidan O'Brien. In and out of the team during the league, the O'Donovan Rossa clubman, but this a great chance for the wily Conall Cunning, who is in great scoring form over the course of a very fine league campaign for the Saffrons. They had that famous win over Clare, a draw to Davy Fitzgerald's Wexford, and of course just 4 weeks ago in West Belfast, having 4 points to spare against a woefully inaccurate Laois. Cunning steps up. That one's come down off the upright. In fact, Kieran Clark took the free, and he's right on to it again, trying to make amends. Clark firing goalward. He's looking for a 65. The umpire is having none of it. Well, Clark has been dogged by injury, scoring freely in the league, and he was indeed hurler of the month back in May. The 28-year-old from Ballycastle. The umpire's not satisfied that it was in fact wide, and he's going in to have a quick word with the umpires. Well, it came back off the upright. It was quickly gathered by Conor Johnston, recycled to Clark. And will Enda Rowland from Abbey Leaks resume with a puck out? The answer is yes. No 65. A minute and 50 seconds on the stopwatch. It's Laois by a single point. Fine effort from Podge Delaney. Rowland goes very, very long indeed. Look at the distance on that puck out. Beautifully taken by Ross King. Turns over the shoulder, and the result is just what Cheddar Plunkett would have wanted. Great start by the underdogs. They're 2 points to the good, and the game is only 2 minutes old. Charles Dwyer, or Cha Dwyer as they called him, bundled over there, tangling with a few Antrim players, but I don't think there was anything too malicious in it. As Ryan Elliott, benefiting hugely from the coaching of Darren Gleeson, a former tip netminder himself, but they've managed to win a sideline cut. Ball going off Kieran McAvoy. Owen Campbell from Cushendall will take the sideline cut. He's on the scene now a while, since debuting in 2013 as an 18-year-old. And again, the referee, he's been busy in the opening 3 minutes. He's going down, having been alerted by one of his umpires to something that's happened, potentially off the ball. Keeping a firm grip on proceedings in the early stages is Sean Clear. Well, it's Ross King who might be called across if the referee is to administer any level of justice here, along with Damon McMullen. He's speaking to King, who scored that last point. A really sweet effort just minutes ago. He's giving the Laois attacker and the Antrim cornerback a right old talking to. And flashes 2 yellow cards for good measure. So Lochiel's Damon McMullen and Rathdowney Errol's Ross King are in the referee's notebook, and eventually Owen Campbell is allowed resume play. 1-2 with Johnson. This is good. Clean strike by Conor Johnston. And Conor Johnston has found his range. That's a lovely score from the corner forward. Just what Antrim and Darren Gleeson needed after 4 minutes of play. It's Antrim 1 point, Laois 2. Short this time, Rowland showing variety in the puck outs. Jack Kelly available. Kelly, an all-star nominee in that halcyon season of 2019, as McAvoy lets fly. That's really good from the centre half back from Port Laois, Kieran McAvoy. 2 of the Laois half back line now on the mark. We name checked them just before throw-in, but Ryan Mullaney's also well capable of firing from distance, and that's a really useful start. 3 points to 1 in favour of Laois. Cunning took his eye off it. And Sean Downey will make hay. Willie Dunphy. The angle. And the puck not going quite right for the full forward. Then O'Brien has a sideline to take. His County behind by 2 with 5 minutes on the stopwatch. One of the big talking points from their last meeting exactly 4 weeks ago in the sunshine in West Belfast was Laois's 20 wides. It's a poor one from O'Brien, and it's presented a lovely opportunity for Paddy Purcell to come forward. Purcell drills it goalward. It got a little bit too much air. Rose and crossed the crossbar, but the Rathdowney man showing the sort of pace that he's famed for. Comfortable out around the middle of the field, but that was really sweet stuff indeed from Paddy Purcell. And a very fine point. The milk quality manager down in County Tipperary with Arabon. His dad is a tip man, of course, but Purcell extending the Laois advantage to 3 points, 4-1. He's on the sliotar again. Unselfishly going inside. The target was PJ Scully, but Scully, former Fitzgibbon winner with UL under the tutelage of a certain Brian Lohan, unable to get to it. Nicely taken, Neil McManus. Very much the father figure of this Antrim side. He's clipped there as he offloaded possession. He's gone down quite heavily. And the referee, having flashed 2 yellow cards already with less than 7 minutes on the stopwatch, wants to talk to Paddy Purcell. In fact, it's Podge Delaney. Neil McManus is still on the ground, and Podge Delaney has picked up a yellow card. Score of the first point in the first 10 seconds of this contest. The referee keeping a firm grip on proceedings. McManus is still on the ground. He's a long time on the scene. He made his debut against Tipperary, of course. That was back in 2007 when he was just 19 years of age. Former minor captain when Antrim hurling were in a rich vein of form, 3 in a row of provincial titles, and that free is slotted right between the posts. A very nice effort indeed, just what was expected, and it's now 4 points to 2 in favour of Laois. Tremendous distance on the puck out once more. Kieran Collier trying to play it through for King, but it's cut out. Jared Walsh, fine player, withdrawn after just a half an hour when these sides met in that league encounter in Corrigan Park. Great effort from out on the flank from distance, but not good enough. Keelan Malloy, normally deadly from that kind of range, but on this occasion not able to post the score. Great tussle down there. James McNaughton's in the thick of it. And De Rowland's going to have to run a little bit for this one. And, well, definite error against the netminder from Abbey Leaks there, and he's coughed up possession and gifted a sideline cut to Antrim and Conall Cunning. So Kieran Clark, he'll look for his opening score of the afternoon from 65 metres. Breeze in his face, but well within his range. He's caught it relatively well, and the corner forward does indeed open his account, and a valuable score. Recovered from injury, having missed the latter rounds of the league, but that's really good stuff indeed as Rowland goes short. And this has danger written all over it for the Antrim defence. Kept in play by PJ Scully. Fouling his opponent though. The referee having no hesitation in giving the free. When you consider the work done by Dinny Cahill as Antrim hurling manager back in the noughties, Liam Sheedy coming in as an advisor in 2017, and now Darren Gleeson, the links between the Premier County and the Saffron County are really strong. Mullaney's blocked down. He was a little bit casual about the clearance, and Antrim set to punish here, having got off to a relatively sluggish start. But now Keelan Malloy is in the groove. That's off the mark, however. And still Laois 4 points, Antrim 3, 10 minutes on the stopwatch. Strong play from Chad Dwyer, but he's out-muscled. Owen Campbell swinging wildly, missing the sliotar. And Ross King just being pulled out of that real unseemly ruck there. There's a loose hurl from Damon McMullen across Ross King. And considering both picked up yellow cards in the second minute, that's reckless stuff. There was a flailing boot there on Damon McMullen as well. It looked to be Willie Dunphy. I'm sure he'll say he didn't mean it, but the outcome is that PJ Scully has a very convertible free indeed, just outside the 65-metre line with the breeze on his back. And I suspect he'll be hell-bent on opening his account here. Useful effort indeed from the corner forward. He's off the mark, and the Borison Ossory Kilcotton man scores his first of the afternoon. Beautiful take by Purcell. Look at this for a run. He's made 40 metres unselfishly, gives it to Kelly. Kelly fumbles it. Back to Dunphy. Dunphy won't miss. Great score from the full forward. And captain this afternoon, Willie Dunphy, stretches out the Laois advantage once more. They're now 6 points to 3 to the good. Great work from Purcell in the first instance. Given across to Dunphy, and Dunphy did the rest. It's a very decent effort indeed, and that's right over the bar once more. And between PJ Scully and Ross King, they're leading the Antrim cover on a merry dance down there. Ryan Mullaney can't get to it. Michael Bradley can though, and the St. John's man is taken down by Kieran McAvoy. Simple decision for the referee. Even though the angle doesn't favour Kieran Clark, he's surely destined to put this over the bar. Antrim finding scores hard come by, and while they do play into the teeth of the very light breeze here in North Dublin, it is a light breeze. Kieran Clark has a second of the afternoon added to his 65. The score's not coming that easy for the Saffrons. Very low trajectory on the sliotar, but it was beautifully read by Rathdowney's Jack Kelly. Under pressure from Conal Cunning. Delaney fancies another go at the post, and why wouldn't he? That's a majestic strike from the wing half back. Well, considering just 4 weeks ago he hobbled across Corrigan Park in a boot. And when I say boot, a medical boot for an ankle injury. He was hoping to be ready for today, and boy is he ready. He wears 19, but he started at wing back. Damon McMullen has given that away. Willie Dunphy's going to have a go. Willie Dunphy's off the mark, the big full forward. most disappointed. He helped himself to a lovely point just minutes ago. Double scores here. Laois 8 points. The Joe McDonagh champions of 2019 against the county which took their title, or took the title in 2020. With Laois having been promoted, they scored that famous win over Dublin against the Head, then going on to rattle Tipperary under the tutelage, of course, back then of Eddie Brennan. That one's gone out over the line, and it's a great chance if PJ Scully opts to take it on from the cut. Ross King is inside, and I note as well that Chad Dwyer has dropped very close to Ryan Elliott's goal. Scully. That's wonderful, absolutely wonderful from the Boris in Ossory Kilcotton man. And when you've got that in your locker, well, opponents need to be well warned, because that was really brilliant from out close to the 65-metre line. Made it look really easy. The linesman's busy on that far side, but on the scoreboard I can tell you the operators are busy too, because it's Antrim 4 points, Laois 9 points, and we've just a quarter an hour elapsed here in a most entertaining preliminary All-Ireland qualifier contest, coming live to you from Parnell Park in North Dublin. Delaney didn't catch it sweetly, but he's fortunate that James McNaughton batted it back into his path. Jack Kelly lets fly. Purcell latches on. He's hit really hard indeed. Aidan O'Brien felt that. He's gone down, and the protest from Neil McManus, who at 32 years of age has been there, seen it all, but O'Brien certainly met with Purcell head on. That was a real collision of force, and both players requiring some treatment, but I do suspect that, judging by the initial reaction, they'll be back on their feet indeed very shortly. It's an Antrim side that's radically changed from the side that fielded against this opposition in round 5 of the league a month ago. There's Cheddar Plunkett in the background, top right of your screen, back for a second stint in charge. The Port Laois man, he told me that he, in terms of senior club medals, he'd won or lost a lot more county finals than he'd won. I think he's got 6 county medals. Always a modest and unassuming character. One of the greats of the game, Cheddar Plunkett. Here's one of the greats of his full forward line, PJ Scully, helping himself to a 4th, all coming from placed balls but one. There was that glorious sideline cut as well, and crucially the Midlanders lead by 10 points to 4. Well, O'Brien again the target on the far flank. He's done well. Paddy Burke quite subdued in the opening quarter hour, anticipating a run from Clark that never happened, but Lee Clear took his eye off it. Great scrapping by Donncha Hartnett. Milani to Rowland. Dangerous, but Rowland very composed. Polished golfer as well, of course, down in Abbey Leaks. And that tussle continuing. Damon McMullen's on real thin ice. He's got to be careful, because Ross King is getting inside his head and living rent-free there, some might argue. But he's conceded another free. And this should be meat and drink for a marksman of the calibre of PJ Scully. Well, without swinging a hurl last weekend, Dublin's win over Galway arguably took some of the sting out of the heavy defeat which the Dubs had inflicted on Antrim a week earlier. 18 points between the sides in a very, very bitter pill for Darren Gleeson's men to swallow in Navan. 331 to 22 points in a game where many pundits give Antrim a chance. As Scully steps up, end result the same. Well, they've certainly worked on their shooting, and while it was quite grim a month ago in West Belfast, and indeed a fortnight ago against Wexford, with 20 points between the sides in Nolan Park, it was a game to forget. As Sean Clear indicates that the Susishka, or the water break, will now take place. And Cheddar Plunkett, he'll be really buoyed by what he's seen. His side 7 points to the good. They trailed by 6 at half-time in the reverse fixture a month ago, but today they're getting everything right. And that introduction perhaps of Podge Delaney just before throw-in for Picky Marr, who'll have been bitterly disappointed not to start, but he's a real option for them as well. And Laois very much hurling within themselves and in the groove. There's Darren Gleeson animated in the centre of the huddle there with the navy t-shirt. And he's barking out orders as well he might, because really Antrim have been very, very poor in the opening 17 minutes of this contest. Scoreboard accurately reflects the gap between the sides. COVID restricted attendance here in North Dublin, and while another outing in this year's championship, be it against Waterford, Clare or Cork, would be desired, defeat too great a horror to contemplate for either of these counties, which have made generous progress in recent seasons. Laois, of course, a semi-final defeat in Leinster to Galway in 2013, a quarter-final defeat against the same opposition the following year before beating Offaly in 2015. Bitterly disappointed to be a Joe McDonagh Cup team, but winning it in 2019, they proved their worth. Their opponents today, well, free scoring in last year's Joe McDonagh competition, 322 per game, but they're obviously different gravy in the Liam McCarthy Cup, and this afternoon they really have yet to come to life. But their goalkeeper Ryan Elliott, I'm sure, might have something up his sleeve in his third season now between the posts, the Dunloy Cuchullin's clubman. It's pulled on there by Neil McManus. And stealing it is Conor Johnston, scorer of one of their points. This is good, Keelan Malloy. It opens up a little for him. He shoots for goal. That's gone into the side netting, but it's going to be a free in. Malloy was fouled. He sat out their meeting a month ago along with James McNaughton and Neil McManus. Kieran Clark was only coming back from injury, and Jared Walsh played but 30 minutes. Now then, and Rowland making sure that he's got cover back on his line, but because with 7 between the sides, it isn't beyond the bounds of possibility that Kieran Clark might think goal to try and get his side going. Very flat from the Saffrons thus far. Clark content with the point. It's his third of the afternoon. Kieran Johnston and Conor Johnston with the others, the St. John's men. And it's Antrim 5 points, Laois 11. Great strike from Rowland. Well dealt with though, and batted out in the direction of Keelan Malloy. Little bit of help from McNaughton. Trying to thread it daintily along the ground to Michael Bradley, but Podge Delaney was having none of it. Delaney hurling and defending really, really manfully here in the opening 19 minutes in North Dublin. Delaney to take this, even by PJ Scully's elevated standards, it would be a bit lofty to take it on, but again Delaney hasn't caught it well at all. Gifting it effectively to his opponents, and well, there was never going to be a mistake from James McNaughton. Played a great deal of the league out around the centre of the field, but the Shamrocks man comfortable getting on to that, firing it between the posts, and the Lochiel man very pleased indeed to get off the mark and open his account. 6 points for Antrim, 11 for Laois. Fumbled by Donncha Hartnett, but he recovers. That's great defending from Owen Campbell. Kieran Johnston linking up the play beautifully there and allowing the strong running Aaron Crawford to Paddy Burke. Instead, though, Conning steals it. Conning foraging there alongside Aidan O'Brien. More hunger and desire in Laois. Paddy Purcell steals it. Rides the hit there from Keelan. Shunts it forward. Oh, lovely take from Chad Dwyer. He slipped though. Still got it. That's majestic from Chad Dwyer. Gets rid of it to Ross King. King going round the outside. Crawford putting the hurl over the shoulder. Still King, and eventually dispossessed. Well, what a passage of play that was. Perhaps Ross King should have let fly a little bit earlier, but it was starting to open up for him and he couldn't resist going forward and forward. Eventually the gate closed and Neil McManus propelling his county forward now. This is good. Owen Campbell. Oh, the hand pass. Nobody was on his wavelength. It's really poor. Here's Sean Downey. Tough defender, I can tell you. Stuck in everything. Huge underage talent, this guy. As that is drilled goalward, but it's off the mark by some distance. And the restart is particularly quick from Ryan Elliott, because with his county trailing by 5, he'll know that they require a spark to ignite their challenge here today. Here's a man that can do it, Neil McManus, but this is going to drop short. Clark swung on it. Great cover from Kieran McAvoy, and Donncha Hartnett having a great old battle with the Saffron attacker as well. That's meat and drink for Paddy Burke, captaining his side today. Aidan O'Brien, well, he's making a real meal of getting that Schlither cleanly. Down he jumped, but didn't come down with it. Did enough, though, to put off his opponent. And Kieran McAvoy to Purcell. Great pace about him, really fine hurler. Jack Kelly, he wants to get in on the scoring act, but doesn't strike it cleanly. And Ryan Elliott kept a brilliant watch on that, in fairness, the 24-year-old from Dunloy. Made it look easy. Kieran McAvoy was fouled by Conor Johnston. Johnston protests, but that's a great old tussle that they're having, and worth the admission alone for the small attendance that's here in Parnell Park today. 23 minutes on the stopwatch. Antrim 6 points, Laois 11. This is Enda Rowland country. The All-Star nominee from 2019. Well, he was captain of this side last year, and a former, of course, Laois minor goalkeeper. He's in the side now for the last 6 years. Rowland, it's hard to tell if he's got the distance. He didn't have the distance, he didn't have the accuracy, and it tails tamely over the end line and wide. But Cheddar Plunkett must be hugely encouraged by the effort his men have given. That's a risky enough puck out by Owen Campbell with Kieran Collier from the highly decorated Camross club. 26 senior Laois hurling titles in that club trophy cabinet alone. Malloy turning on to the right, firing goalward. He's missed the target, and he's missed it by a distance. Luke Cullen's man won't be too pleased with that particular effort. Not a pause for breath here. Pace of this game really picking up as King connects well with that, but he doesn't have the accuracy. That was perhaps an opportunity. Now Laois beginning to become a little bit profligate in front of goal as Michael Bradley drives it forward. Cunning has managed to gather it. Cunning keen to get goalward. Cunning fires at the post and sends it over the bar for his first of the campaign, this particular contest rather. The scoring pressure being taken off his shoulders by the return of Kieran Clark, and Kieran Johnston also able to fire frees from distance out the park. 10.5 minutes remaining in this first half plus stoppage time as Purcell engineers a little bit of space, strokes goalward and helps himself to a second point from wing half forward and stretches out the Laois advantage to 5 once more. It's 12 points for Cheddar Plunkett's Laois, 7 points for Darren Gleeson's Antrim. Neil McManus, unselfish. Burke from distance. It's outside and wide. That was a great chance after McManus had spotted the supporting run, but the centre half back missing the target. Ross King now can't keep it in play. A ripple of laughter there at Cheddar Plunkett's colourful quip to his centre half back, I do believe. He could be heard clearly all over the ground. In fact, he could probably be heard in the church behind us, but Cheddar wears his heart on his sleeve when it comes to Laois hurling. Coming back after the departure of Eddie Brennan for a second stint in charge. Ryan Mullaney has pulled the trigger. He missed his last effort and he's missed that one as well. Perhaps Cheddar is going to advise Ryan to stay back and defend, because those opportunities, well, they've got to be capitalised on. Darren Gleeson, an anxious figure down in his technical area in front of his subs. Scrappy out around the centre, very hard to get it, but Keelan Malloy has given it away. Now it's Kieran Collier. Took some time out to travel last year, but happily for Laois hurling fans, he's back in the county colours. Kelly will surely convert here. Hurler of his quality, comfortable at wing back, comfortable in midfield, and Rathdowney Earls Jack Kelly doing what he does best in that traditional red helmet that he always wears, and firing that between the posts to make it Laois 13 points, Antrim 7. Elliott switching wings. The target this time is Neil McManus. Michael Bradley can't gather it either. Instead, it's returned with interest, and that's a really fine score indeed. They're piling on the misery, and that is a score to grace any stage, and certainly one that will give Willie Dunphy no end of confidence. The full forward getting a second of the afternoon, and it's double scores in Parnell Park. Antrim 7 points, Laois 14. Well, Jared Walsh is down drawing breath, and it looks as if he's wiping the sweat of his brow. But out in the centre of the park, there was a heavy collision seconds ago as Willie Dunphy got on the schlitter and fired that goalward. Laois medical team just ensuring that everybody's okay down there. Is that John Sugru, the former Laois football manager, serving as physio? He certainly did a stint as physio for Cheddar Plunkett. Beaten in the qualifiers last year, of course, to Clare, as Paddy Purcell gets back on his feet. And his manager will be very content indeed, because Purcell's going really well at wing half forward with 2 points to his credit. Willie Dunphy's got a brace, but inside the star turn, PJ Scully with 5, Ross King with 1, and Jack Kelly has helped himself to 1, as is Kieran McAvoy, and a brace from Podge Delaney at wing half back. Purcell's okay, and the referee content to allow Ryan Elliott resume with the puck out. He's going down on front of us. James McNaughton is going quite peripheral. He's got hurt as well there in a collision with his opposite number, Kieran Collier. Clear view just down in front of our camera position with McNaughton from Lockheed Shamrocks taking off the helmet. The referee's assistant just communicating with Sean Clear, indicating that he needs a little bit of help and assistance, but the Lockheed man is made of strong stuff. Just needs a second to compose himself. His man of the match against Wexford in that very fiery and feisty draw. 7 points he got that day, 3 from frees. And himself and Keelan Malloy put up a really spirited performance in the centre of the field to deny Davy Fitzgerald's men the 2 points that day in West Belfast. Still receiving some treatment down in front of us, and we could probably eavesdrop on the conversation, but it wouldn't be particularly polite or appropriate perhaps. We'll allow them the conflab in confidence. We're almost at the half-hour mark. It's Antrim 7 points, Laois 14 points. They haven't yet gone into European Championship mode by trying to mask their lips and prevent lip readers from eavesdropping on conversations. It's going to be a sideline cut for the Saffrons when play resumes, and it's going to be a certain Neil McManus from the Rory Oak Club in Cushendall to take. And again, Laois winning all those man-to-man battles at the moment. Milani strokes it across the park to Purcell. Injured moments ago, Jared Walsh going into the back of him, and Antrim have won it with Neil McManus now on the schlitter. He wants to score badly. He's going to get one. It's a great score from the Cushendall man. Just what was needed. And a first for Neil. Rowland using the breeze to great effect, and Ross King mightn't be the largest man inside, but he is the man who's won it. It's not about the size of the lion in the fight, but rather the fight in the lion, and Ross King demonstrating his worth to his inside line and his county manager with a really fine second point, positioning himself really well, firing between the posts as Owen Campbell is on his bike here, setting off for the Saffrons. Offloading to Neil McManus. He scored their last point. He fancies another. Neil McManus sending that inside the upright, and a valuable score indeed, keeping Antrim in touch, because while they're not hurling well, they're only 6 behind. 15 points for Laois, 9 for Antrim. 4 minutes of normal time remaining in this first half. The breeze will favour Darren Gleeson's men in the second 35. Wonderful leap by Walsh, broken for Burke, but again the Saffrons second to it as Jack Kelly looks for a score. He's bundled over as he struck the schlitter. Paddy Burke the culprit. It will be a free, and a great chance for Laois in the jaws of half time to further stretch their advantage. This some turnaround from 4 weeks back. Antrim were comfortable leading by 6 at the break that day, and considering they'd held perhaps 5 or 6 players back, although Darren Gleeson said afterwards he was nursing a number of injuries, preparing for Dublin in the championship. That didn't quite work out. Both these sides keen to erase the memory of very hefty championship defeats a fortnight ago from memory. So the free then, as Kelly was struck in motion, it's been brought right into the 20-metre line, and PJ Scully, I suspect, will tap it over the bar. Great score from Scully. It was relatively easy by his own lofty standards, but still had to be converted. It's a 6th for the corner forward. Between himself in one corner and Ross King on the other, with the versatile and powerful Willie Dunphy between them. They're really tormenting the Antrim cover. Here's King. Thought about letting fly. Give it to Kelly instead. He's got Kieran Collier available if he spots him. Instead he goes back to Sean Downey, the full-back. Fancies a go, but that's not accurate enough. And Sean Downey will head back to full-back with no score in his pocket. The Balnakill man, well, he locked horns with some of the finest in the game in the course of a bruising Division 1B campaign for Laois. Of course, they have a relegation playoff coming up in a couple of weeks against Westmeath. So really, Cheddar Plunkett needs something here today to keep the downward spiral from continuing. And at the moment, his troops are answering. 16 points to Antrim's 9. This is really scrappy out around the centre, but Paddy Burke will eventually get possession. He's hit very hard indeed. Strong, uncompromising, but honest hurling there, and eventually Burke relents, coughs up the sliotar to Ross King. Off goes Fiachra Fennell on his bike to Purcell. Can he get round his opponent? He takes the shot, Paddy Purcell! Well, what about that for an ambitious effort? He took on his man, he stole the yard or two, let fly off the left side, straight into the top corner of Ryan Elliott's net, and that is a hammer blow for the Saffrons. But on the flip side, Laois deserve it. They're hurling ever so well for the opening 35 minutes here, and boy, have we a contest in Parnell Park with the scoreboard reading Laois 116, Antrim 9 points. What have the Saffrons got to hit back with? We're about to find out. Aidan O'Brien's been blocked down. This is wonderful from Cheddar's man. Chad Dwyer leaving it back. It's floated in once more. They seem to have all the answers. Collier. Easy. Kieran Collier from Camross, his first of the afternoon. And if you're tuned into us down in the O'Moore County, whoa, your boys are playing some stuff here at the moment in Parnell Park. They're winning all the individual battles, and on the scoreboard they have a really tasty 11-point cushion at the moment. Antrim 9 points, Laois 117. And notice one of the Antrim Mayor Fern is having a word with the linesman down in front of us, but I suspect that's born out of frustration, because they can have little complaint with the officiating. Down in the field of play, they're not at the races. Perhaps took Laois a little for granted given the ease with which they beat them in Corrigan Park a couple of weeks ago. Kieran McAvoy's been bundled over there, and Neil McManus keen to get on with the play because we're in stoppage time at the end of the first half, and Antrim are 11 points behind. 117 to 9 points, and that man Paddy Purcell, the Arabon milk quality manager, scoring a goal of the highest quality, lashing it to the corner of Ryan Elliott's net, and that one's certainly worth a watch back. What a boost for the Midlanders. McAvoy still receiving some attention down in front of us. He's made of strong stuff, however. Well, back in 1985, Laois were flying high, as that one is stuck between the posts. Badly needed score for the Saffrons. It's their 10th of the afternoon, as stoppage time continues to drip away here. Cloud now screening this very warm heat here. Earlier in the action down in front of us, it's 2 degrees. The mercury was hitting 21 Celsius on our way to the ground. Elliott restarts. Malloy takes over. That's a good long one. Beats the tackle of Kelly. Posted. He's looking for Johnston, but Don deals with it. That's powerful play. Full back. He can't afford to make a mistake. He doesn't. And Darren Gleeson will have really strong words for his charges at half time. They consolidated their place in top flight with those 2 wins that we alluded to over Laois, ironically enough, and Clare, a draw against Wexford, but they more than anything want to stay in the Liam McCarthy Cup, not having to drop back down to the Joe McDonagh where they played and won last season. Rowland, long, very long indeed. Paddy Burke kept his eye and almost fumbled it, but the Rory Oak man knew what he was doing. His clearance is poor. Fiacre Fennell, Chad Dwyer, and, well, the wides beginning to mount up for Laois, but what a half of hurling. A goal and 17 on the scoreboard, and with that, was that the half-time whistle? No, referee content to allow another attack. We're 2.5 minutes into stoppage time as Antrim look desperately to claw their way back into this contest. They're 10 points behind. There's a tug there on Kieran Clark, a combination of a tug and a stray hurl going across the corner forward. Means that the man who was in such a rich vein of form during the course of the National League, he 215 racked up in Antrim's first 4 league games alone. Came into the side as a second half sub for their last game, a dead rubber, effectively against Laois. And now an opportunity to claw back the deficit to 9 points, which really Antrim must take. But they haven't. Kieran Clark with a really grim free straight down the throat of Podge Delaney. That's an awful mistake, and it gives Laois a real pep in their step going down the tunnel here in Parnell Park at half-time. And what about that for a half-time scoreline? The underdogs are on fire. It's Antrim 10 points, Laois 117 at the break. Well, the referee is ready to restart the game, but unfortunately the entourage from both Laois and Antrim haven't made their way across the field yet. So at the moment he's got about 45 people on the field. When that settles down, we're going to have the game recommence with Owen Campbell and Jack Kelly locking horns there just down in front of us. The big question at half-time, can Antrim muster a response and find their way back into this contest, because they've been really poor for the opening 35. By contrast, this man Chad Dwyer and Laois have been excellent. What about that for a pirouette? The shot isn't of the quality to match though, and he sent it some distance wide. Protest from the Antrim bench. They wanted Ryan Elliott's quick and all as it was to be allowed. The referee saying that Elliott strayed outside the zone from which he's allowed to puck it. And indeed, replays may suggest that he was quite right. Aidan O'Brien was really well. Look at that for tackling from Porcelain. Laois really a fire in their bellies. Hurt, no doubt, not just by the manner of that championship mauling against Wexford a fortnight ago, but also the manner in which Antrim toyed with them in West Belfast a month ago, leaving household names like Keelan Malloy, James McNaughton, Kieran Clark and co out of the starting 15. Neil McManus also didn't feature, but this afternoon Laois are a horse of a completely different colour. And whatever Cheddar Plunkett and his backroom team have said, it's really reaping dividends. The big question is, can they sustain it for the second 35? Donogh O'Connell, Francis Ford and Michael Walsh, all part of the Laois backroom team. As James McNaughton from the Shamrocks gets ready with this free. He's just outside his own 45. He's got the distance on it. That's a really good effort. And coming as it does in the second minute of the second half, it's just what the doctor ordered. Great score for McNaughton. He's very comfortable on those long-range ones, while Kieran Clark takes them somewhat closer in. Conal Cunning having deputised for him during his absence through injury in the league. Sideline cut for the Laois men. Darren Gleeson and some of the Antrim supporters protest. Referee and linesman having none of it, and PJ Scully having put over a delightful effort from further out the park in the first half, albeit breeze assisted. Fancies a cut off this, pardon the pun. Scully. That's marvellous. Absolutely marvellous from PJ Scully. A second sideline cut, bringing his tally for the day to 7 points. And And they're as you were at the break, 10 between them. Antrim on the offensive, Clark's the target inside. Rowland reads it well and allows it trickle over the end line. Of course, Laois with options on the bench as well. They've got some power there. Enna Lyons recovered from injury. Aaron Dunphy and Kieran Comerford also well able to come in and do a job. We don't know about Picky Marr as to the status of his fitness, but here's a man who's fit, raring to go and chomping at the bit. PJ Scully, he goaled a month ago when they met, giving it back to Fennell. Fennell will have a go, and why wouldn't he when you've got that sort of accuracy in your locker? That's a great point and a first of the afternoon from the Rosenallis man. And Laois further stretch out their advantage, 119 to 11 points. And alarms bells surely going off now in the Antrim camp, because they can't seem to get into the groove at all. Ryan Mullaney was spotted, shoulder into the back before the Schlitter dropped. The referee spot on with that call. He's had a really good game today here, Sean Clear from the O'Loughlin Gales Club in Kilkenny. He refereed from Dublin here, interestingly, some weeks back in the league. He hasn't officiated a Laois game for some time. In fact, you've got to go back to 2017 in a game down in Rathdowney when Galway were the opponents for the O'Moore men in the Walsh Cup. Here's Kieran Clark, scorer of 4 already this afternoon. This is really important for him. Ballycastle man, 28 years of age now, very established. He's put that one right out of the ground, but crucially before he did that he put it between the posts, and a 12th for the Saffrons. 119 for Laois, 12 for Antrim. And we were anticipating a blood and thunder type contest, but Antrim didn't bring that to the party, and they're being outfought here as Willie Dunphy charges in there and wins a free. Really good work from the captain. And this is fairy tale stuff for Cheddar Plunkett's men when you consider the league campaign they had, beaten easily in 5 outings: Kilkenny, Clare, Dublin, Wexford and then Antrim, as that sent goalward by Scully, and Scully has another, his 8th of the afternoon. It's going ever so well for the corner forward from Borison Ossory Kilcotton. Elliott restarts. Antrim eventually living off scraps out there in the middle of the park. Keelan Malloy hit with conviction and hit between the sticks. And the man whose point taking was par excellence over the course of the National Football League, a former Ulster College's All-Star back in 2015, the Dunloy man, well within his range and helping himself to the score. Clever by Mullaney, avoiding the block. Substitute Joe Maskey, he's a tough wing half back, giving it to Malloy. Back out to the wing to Campbell. Campbell posts it goalward, and they're playing with the breeze but not using it there. The breeze isn't all that significant at pitch level, and crucially still 10 between the sides. Antrim 13 points, Laois a goal and 20. Rowland not getting the same distance on the puck out, but nonetheless it's good. Broken for Malloy. There's nobody on the edge of the square, but Malloy's effort is wayward, and Darren Gleeson knows that every wide is giving Laois greater confidence as they see the energy sapped from the Antrim veins, as it were. Owen O'Neill's in there as well as a second half substitute. Joe Maskey too coming in wearing 20. And at last a little bit of bite from the Saffrons. Malloy, this time he's going to take his time on the shot, rounds the challenge of Kelly, strikes goalward. That's better, a lot better from the midfielder, and he really needed that one. His second, and Antrim's 14th. 14 points to Laois's 120. Podge Delaney wants it just underneath our commentary position, but Rowland instead opts to go down the middle. Lovely strike. Dunphy was under it, but it's hopped up nicely for Malloy. He's become a big factor in the game in the second half, whatever was said to him at the break. Mullaney tackling hard as if his life depended on it, and in essence their championship lives do, and their stake in the Liam McCarthy Cup next season as well, as that one struck from out on the wing. It's hugely ambitious, but it hasn't gone between the posts, and the wides stack up for the O'Moore County. Antrim 14 points, Laois a goal and 20. There's a push there by Conall Cunning, but he's got away with it, and he's got the Schlitter. Possibly need a goal here. It's given to the substitute, who strikes into the bottom of the net. Owen O'Neill, what about that? He's only in the game a matter of minutes. Conall Cunning got away with the push, and you can see that some of the Laois defenders are furious there. It happened just before the ball arrived. The wily full forward offloading with style to his clubmate Owen O'Neill, and O'Neill cancels out Paddy Purcell's major on the stroke of half time, and now we have a contest on our hands with just 6 between them. 114 for Antrim, 120 for Laois, and here's that man Keelan Malloy, who's done so much in the second half. Antrim have awoken. Malloy has missed. Gripping stuff in this second half as Willie Dunphy requires some attention just down in front of us. The Clop Balacalla man has emptied the tank here for 43 odd minutes, but there's a long way to go. A lot of hurling to be done here in Parnell Park. Paddy Burke gathering that one, giving it to Maskey. Now it's with James McNaughton. McNaughton going around the outside, scenic route to goal to Connor Johnson, crashes into Downey and eventually bundled over. The referee giving the free. The Laois backroom team are furious, but Antrim energised, and their side transformed in the last couple of minutes, all stemming from that strike. It's a penalty. Clear goal scoring chance denied to the corner forward Connor Johnson. The ref has given a penalty. He was inside the 20-metre line. Well, it was a huge talking point in the meeting of Clare and Tipperary last week. Defender Downey being spoken to, and he's got a yellow. He's leaving the action for 10 minutes. Now then, a turning point in the game on 45 minutes. Antrim have a penalty, and having trailed by 11 points at one stage just a couple of minutes ago, they now are being presented with a huge opportunity to get right back into this contest, and it's going to be the 32-year-old veteran who's in his 14th season in county colours, a certain Neil McManus, to strike this penalty. He faces Rowland. Rowland saves. Brilliant. Batted down to Lee Clear. Well, the Schlitter hopped up perfectly. Rowland kept his position, held central, and batted it back out with interest to Lee Clear. Laois have got out of jail. Antrim have missed a wonderful opportunity to get right back into the game. And now then, Dwyer has Collier available to him if he can spot the former hurler of the year in Laois. He can't, and he's gobbled up by a horde of saffron jerseys. Intense scrap down there, and eventually the referee's going to have to stop it and potentially throw in the ball, because it's very hard to see or determine who might have been fouling there. You can see that certainly Aaron Crawford had a grip of his opponent's arm. No quarter being given or asked. This is real championship stuff. Somebody suggesting on the way in that this is bigger than a provincial final for either of these two counties, and when you consider that hurling with the elite in next year's Liam McCarthy competition, the 10-team competition that it is the prize on offer. That in itself is huge. Laois have won a free. Malloy petulantly strikes it away, but time isn't his county's friend at the moment. 24 minutes or thereabouts still to go. Antrim behind by 6. They led by 6 at the break in Belfast a month ago, but my, how the tables have turned. You would have thought with the injection of players who didn't feature that day into Darren Gleeson's ranks that Antrim were perhaps not nailed on, but certainly hot favourites to eke out a win here today. Alas for them, that's not how it's transpiring thus far, as PJ Scully looks for number 9 for him, and PJ Scully delivers it. Well, that's a big swing. Neil McManus's penalty miss at one end, Laois going up the park and Scully pointing at the other, and the gods are smiling on the Midlanders at the moment. 7 ahead. Huge ball down, pucked by Rooney, broken kindly for Milani. He's having to fight hard, trying to kick it clear, but Cunning has it. He'll shoot. Cunning scores. Just his second of the contest. The Cuchullin's man has been very well marshalled inside by Sean Downey and co. But it's back to 6 once more. Antrim 115, Laois 121. You daren't take your eyes off the action here in Parnell Park. It's enthralling stuff. Rowland Fallen nicely for Paddy Purcell, the goal scorer. He's bundled off the ball. No free, says the referee. Aaron Crawford is shipped out over the line, hit very hard, and Darren Gleeson is furious that his substitute, Crawford, well, he's wearing 18, but he was in at the very early moments of this contest. He was certainly struck hard. Was he struck fairly, though? Ross King's in the middle of it, and Ross King was the player who administered the final touch to Crawford already. They've one man in the bin, that being their full back, and now Ross King is gone. He picked up a yellow along with Damon McMullen in the early minutes of the contest, and Laois are down to 13. My oh my, drama in Parnell Park as Ross King, the sharpshooter from Rathdowney Errol, sees red. 2 yellows being the way it was administered to him for that heavy hit on Aaron Crawford, and now Laois, his character is about to be tested like never before. Sean Downey is in the bin for 10. He served about 3 of those. Laois are up by 6, and Antrim are hot on their heels, but they're getting all the little breaks at the moment. They did have that missed penalty moments ago, and now Connor Johnston, I think, is the man entrusted to have a go here. No, it's Clark, in fact. This would be his 6th worry to convert. The cheer says it all. The numbers might be small in Parnell Park, but they're certainly making themselves felt. Those that have travelled the hour 40 minutes down on the M1. And Antrim are back to within 5. Somebody bringing the attention of the referee to the fact that Enda Rowland might be wasting time, but Rowland does require a little bit of attention for something that happened. He has the helmet off, but like all good referees, I'm sure Sean Clear stops the watch. But now we have a game on our hands in Parnell Park. 10 separated them at the break. Laois subsequently went up another one. Off camera, there's a right old joust going on between Chad Wire and Aaron Crawford, while Enda Rowland still receives attention from the Laois medical team. 116 for the Saffrons, 121 for Laois, who's staying in the Liam McCarthy competition next season and indeed advancing to face Clare, Cork or Waterford next Saturday. That's the question which will be answered here today. Whether it takes extra time or not, only time will tell. Beautiful pick out there from Enda Rowland. Real pressure applied by Clark and McManus, and they've managed to turn it over and win a line ball. They're starting to pour at the moment. The introduction of Owen O'Neill and Joe Maskey has helped in no small end. O'Neill with the goal in the early minutes of the second half after a great pass from Keelan Malloy. O'Neill it will be with the sideline cut as well. He's certainly got the height, has it the distance. It doesn't have the accuracy. Wonderful take by Milani. He was turned over last time. He's not going to make the same mistake this time. There's no Ross King inside. That's a huge miss. And Laois 2 men down at the moment, with Sean Downey out of the game for that 10-minute spell, and Ross King having picked up 2 yellow cards. Over the shoulder, that's ambitious, and too ambitious at that. It hops out over the end line very tamely. Ryan Elliott to restart. Antrim 116, Laois 121. Antrim with spare bodies everywhere. Aidan O'Brien completely free, but there's nobody to mark him, quite simply because Laois are down 2 men. Cleverly batted down to Owen O'Neill. He's sharp and he's got a second. Owen O'Neill pulled on it first time. It's a second goal, a fairy tale introduction for the Cucullins man. 2 majors in the second half, both coming within 10 minutes. And Antrim right back in the contest. Just 2 now between the sides. 216 to Laois's 121. Laois crumbling. Just 4 points in this second half, and that water break can't come at a good enough time for them as they march in there with Fiachra Fennell and Jack Kelly making their way into the huddle. And these are anxious moments for Cheddar Plunkett's men. Very anxious moments indeed, because it's a matter now of trying to weather the storm. But that storm, I can tell you, has been upgraded to a hurricane. Antrim coming at them in waves. Just 2 between the sides, 216 to 121. And the enduring question here is, can this group of hurlers from Belfast and the Glens of Antrim and Darren Gleeson, highly animated, make one of the comebacks of the season and turn over Laois. Well, a tale of two halves. You can hear Darren Gleeson from our commentary position, and I can tell you that we're not post-watershed at the moment, but certainly a couple of expletives in there. It's championship hurling, it's championship language, and it's a championship pitch. Antrim don't want this game to stop. They have the momentum, and that man, Owen O'Neill, with 2 goals in the second half. What an impact he's having on this contest, and if they're to prevail, and it's a massive if, he'll be feted around Antrim tonight. Of course, they'd be out again next Saturday. Well, last season they had Joe McDonough All-Stars aplenty. Owen O'Neill wasn't one of those, but the youngster really making a name for himself here today as Cheddar Plunkett and his home team bark the last of the instructions, and this is a real test of their endurance, power, fitness and mental strength here in Dublin this afternoon. Both sides scarred by heavy championship defeats a fortnight ago. Wexford destroying Laois. Dublin, who since went on, of course, last weekend to shock Galway, doing something similar with 18 to spare over Antrim. 20 between Wexford and Laois for the record. But here today, Laois seem to have 1 foot in the next round, but it's all come a cropper for them in this second half. We anticipated Antrim would come at them strong, so they did. Owen O'Neill with 2 goals. Enda Rowland will be particularly disappointed with the second one. And he came for a ball, didn't make it, and a cardinal error as Chad Dwyer wins a line ball out the far side of the park. And in the process, cast the Schlitter over to PJ Scully, their score getter in chief, with 9 points this afternoon. He's put over 2 sideline cuts in the middle of that 9 points, and Darren Gleeson doing everything in his power to put off the corner forward. Were we to have a mic down there between those two men, it could be interesting. Gleeson never one to shy away from battle, as Davy Fitz will attest to from their visit to Corrigan Park, but on this occasion, at the crucial juncture, PJ Scully's fluffed his lines and his tally remains at 9 as Paddy Burke drops it. Chad Dwyer putting pressure there on O'Brien. The goal scorer, O'Neill. Poor pass. Jack. Another sub, James combining with Kelly. They need this. Looks good. It is good. That's a wonderful score for Atoniel's Jack Kelly, and one which was badly needed to stop the Saffron momentum. And Laois have opened up a little gap again. It's a lot smaller than it was. Just 3 between them. Antrim 216, Laois 122. It's high and dangerous, but Laois have found their composure again. Kieran McAvoy, risky ball, but they're 2 men down on the field of play. Chad Dwyer's attempted shoulder is a poor one. Here's McManus, sets off to goal. Has he more than a point on his mind? He may get nothing. That's what transpires. That's great discipline cover from the Laois men. They'll be very anxious to get Sean Downey back into the heart of that full back line shortly, when he served his 10 minutes in the sin bin. While hurling purists were fervently against the introduction of the sin bin, and it was in the headlines for all the wrong reasons last weekend. But the penalty which accrued for Neil McManus from the Downey foul was missed, and now Laois winning a crucial free out around the centre of the field, and James Ryan and Jack Kelly celebrate it, while a dejected Neil McManus shakes his head forlornly. Antrim 216, Laois a goal and 22 points. Gripping contest. It's exploded in the second half. They went in at the break, would you believe, on a scoreline of Laois 117, Antrim 10 points. But 2 Owen O'Neill goals have utterly changed the complexion of this contest, and with a quarter of an hour to go, there's nobody leaving Parnell Park early, I can tell you. Free on the stroke of the halfway line. Standing over it is Scully. Scully lets fly. Scully has converted It's a great puck from the corner forward. 10 points for him. And Laois lead by 4. That's dangerous, well mopped up by Rowland. Fiacre Fennell charges out of that, appeals that the tackle was high, but play continues. Great ball to Dunphy. Wonderful skill from the full forward. That is sublime. That is one of the scores of the day, and well he might celebrate the Clough Ballycollar man, because what he did there in knocking the Schlitter away from Jared Walsh, seizing it at the second time of asking, engineering the space, firing over the score, it was quite simply glorious. 5 between them. Laois 124, Antrim 216. Is there another goal in the Saffrons? James McNaughton could potentially deliver it. Look at the speed. James McNaughton going around the outside, beats all the tackles, but can't beat Enda Rowland. Donncha Hartnett was left glued to the ground, but the shot from McNaughton ain't beating the Laois keeper, and the riposte goes between the posts. That's a useful effort indeed, and they get something from that particular attack, but they really wanted more. Great save by Rowland at a very crucial moment in a very fine game of hurling. Neil McManus applying the finishing touch there for his 3rd of the afternoon. Antrim 217, Laois 124. The maths will tell you that 4 separate them. 12.5 remain on the scoreboard, and a couple of switches being made, as you'd expect. The tiring Kieran Collier from Camross makes way for Aina Lyons. Well, Lyons has hurled very little really in the last 18 months, having been dogged by injury, but he is a big game player, and he has an opportunity to make a wonderful impact here. He was under that breaking ball, but it didn't fall correctly for him. Driven forward by Malloy. The target inside is Connor Johnston, but he's out-muscled. And Laois finding themselves in the groove once more. Look at Rowland. He wants the puck to be taken short to him, which is duly dispatched by Kieran McAvoy. That's clever from Laois. Rowland, tremendous distance on it. There'll be a right scrap inside, and Dunphy has left the full forward berth vacant for Chad Wire. He can't win it. This is a real mistake though, and instead Paddy Purcell comes forward for the second goal. Disaster for Antrim. Poor old Jared Walsh tried to play it from defence. Purcell pounced, and lo and behold, it's a second goal for the wing half forward. Anything Owen O'Neill can do at one end, Purcell can do at the other, and now Antrim are in a real spot of bother. If things weren't bad enough, they've left themselves with a mountain to climb here in North Dublin, and protest as they might in the form of centre half back and captain Paddy Burke, it's going to count for little, because Antrim trail by 7 points on the scoreboard. It's changed utterly in the twinkling of an eye. Antrim 217, Laois 224. Cunning was in there, but so too was Lee Clear. Great cover from the corner back, driven forward by James Ryan. The target is Lyons. You wouldn't think that Laois have had a man sent off, as that is posted inside to Jack Kelly. He's a tasty hurler. Jack Kelly from the angle. Jack Kelly sends it between the posts. His 3rd point, and Laois have their tails up. This is really good stuff. Fiacre Fennell is in a right old tussle with Neil McManus down in the centre of the field. Linesman's keeping an eye on them. This is delightful from the Laois men. They lead by 8, and with Ross King having been sent off, they're making light of it. Elliott combines with O'Neill. The goal scorer cuts inside, taken down by Kieran McAvoy. Was it outside, or is another penalty on the cards? The referee seems content that a free in is enough. O'Neill's telling him that he was inside, and a goal scoring opportunity was there for him. Well, another big call from the referee. Antrim mentors and all out pressurising the official. He's already sent Sean Downey to the bin. What's to become the fate of his teammate here? It's a yellow. but no penalty. It happened outside, and Kieran McAvoy potentially knew what he was doing there. If ever there's a good time to commit a foul, that was it. But Kieran Clark now with a tap over. The Ballycastle man's got to deliver here. His county need it more than ever. 8 behind. 9 minutes of normal time remain. Up he steps. He's content with the point. His 7th of the afternoon. And Rowland in no great hurry with this puck out. Understandably so, at giving the players an opportunity to draw breath, as Cunning sends that forward to Campbell. Campbell posts one from downtown. Campbell misses the target. 7 separate the sides. The substitute, Éanna Lyons, is screaming for it. Rowland's aim for him. Up he jumps, but Aidan O'Brien kept an eye on that. Lyons has got it at the second time of asking. The pass is lazy though. James McNaughton does well. He's given it away. Here's James Ryan. Delaney Slither sent between the posts. What about that from the right half back wearing 19? 3 points this afternoon. And for a man who had a horrible ankle injury earlier in the season and missed a lot of league hurling as a result, this is a fairy tale return. Laois lead by 8, Antrim 2:18, Laois 2:26, and they're suddenly finding energy. The tough and tenacious Lee Clear winning it. Driven goalward, but driven wide. Antrim go long. Donncha Hartnett kept his eye on it. It nearly threaded its way through to Clark. It was sublime by Neil McManus. It's drilled goalward. And a point the outcome. Sean Elliott on the target. The substitute getting his first since his introduction and making it a 7-point game once more. But it's a contest which has lacked nothing in drama. 3 second half goals. 2 of those from Owen O'Neill, the other from Paddy Purcell, who incidentally scored Laois's first on the stroke of half time. They led by 10 at the interval, and again the referee forced to go in and break up a tussle. Aaron Crawford seems to have an uncanny knack of finding his way into all those rucks. James Ryan is there with them, and well, sometimes you'd wonder if it would take an angle grinder to separate them, because they're really locked in anything but an embrace. It's hot and heavy down at pitch level. Real championship hurling, a real edge to the contest, but Laois with the greater hunger and fight within them, and the appetite for battle over the course of the 60 plus minutes that we've witnessed. 6 minutes remaining. This is good. Sean Elliott, he scored their last point, trying to cut in from the end line, shoots. Rowland stands strong. It was straight at him, but the keeper had to do his job, and Lee Clear content to give it out to Podge Delaney. Score of 3 points from wing back, goes long. Lyons was waiting on a rebound, but PJ Scully was unable to bat it clear to him. 2:19 for Antrim, 2:26 for Laois. McManus is on the slither. McManus looks for the score. McManus gets it. His 4th of the afternoon, but his county needs something more. They're 6 behind, and we're moving towards the closing 5 minutes of normal time in a gripping preliminary All-Ireland qualifier. Cheddar Plunkett shuffles it up a little bit once more. Paddy Purcell is going to leave the action. What an impact he's had. And it looks like James Keys is going to be given an opportunity. The puck out strategy working well. It is that man who we name checked a second ago, Keys. He's on the field just 15 seconds, and perhaps that might explain that particular effort. It was pretty woeful. PJ Scully was available inside, but I do believe Keys went for his own shot. Cunning, Malloy. It's opened up for the big midfielder. Malloy tramps up the centre, and Malloy posts a score. His 3rd of the afternoon and Antrim's 21st. 5 separate them now. Antrim 2:21, Laois 2:26. Well, a lot of people tuned into us on GA Go this afternoon, given the restrictions on attendance. I know one of those is Stephen McGarry from Derrymore and Ahagallen, and the Antrim hurling supporters sending him their best wishes. given his ill health at the moment, and well, Antrim fighting with everything they've got in this second half, and Aidan O'Brien taking a knock in that last battle. Willie Dunphy and Jared Walsh getting up close and personal there in the centre of your picture as well. 5 separate them, and Laois protesting furiously. Chad Wyer and Willie Dunphy aren't at all happy that that line ball was given against them, and they're not allowing big Jared Walsh, the powerful fullback, to take it. It's getting a little bit nasty there. Chad Wyer bundled over, but these are strong boys. And Willie Dunphy, the Laois skipper, is adamant that that shouldn't be given. There's an Antrim mentor in there who's absolutely no business being on the field of play, and he'd do well to step away from it. Referee has managed this contest well. Still the verbals continue between Chad Wyer and Jared Walsh. Well, Jared Walsh was in a Joe McDonagh Cup All-Star last season. Played centre back indeed in the course of that campaign, but he's a big strong man at just 23 years of age. Committed hurler. His county now 5 points behind, and staring down the barrel of an exit from this year's championship unless they can find something. It's a good cut. It's a great catch. McAvoy standing strong, and Kelly finding that extra gear in the legs. He's a very pacey player. Here comes Fennell. There are overlaps. Dunphy's available to him if he spies him. He went for his own score, and that's an abysmal effort, really. Tiring limbs of Fiachra Fennell evident there, but he had options inside. Laois, of course, a man down after the dismissal of Ross King early in the second half. But my oh my, if they're to die, they'll die with their boots on. McManus, the target inside. He hasn't got it. Back there too is Kieran McAvoy, working really hard at number 6 for Laois. And again, the referee's probably going to have to whistle this up, or will the Schlitter burst clear? It does, and so does Lee Clear. Fennell now, keen to make amends for what he did moments ago, sending the Schlitter wide, and he's posted a pass, telegraphing it straight to Keelan Malloy. Malloy will score from this kind of range. Antrim want more than a point though. Here goes the substitute, Sean Elliott, and his path to goal is blocked. Heroic defending by the O'Moore man, and Podge Delaney back there slamming the Schlitter off the ground, blasting it clear, but he can find nobody but Joe Maskey. Maskey drilling it into the corner. Not the finest of passes. O'Neill and McAvoy tangle. Line ball for Antrim. 90 seconds of normal time remain. 5 separate them. But Antrim, they've found a knack over the course of a very plucky league campaign of digging out results. Is today a bridge too far? This is Championship hurling. James McNaughton is turned over. Wonderful from the Laois men. Jack Kelly now. Really strong defending. They've put one man forward, and still he wins it. That is brilliant from PJ Scully. 10-point hero. Back to Dwyer. Dwyer stroking it into the blue sky. It's going to drop between the posts. That is sublime. Majestic from Chad Dwyer. What a time to get your first of the contest. Cometh the hour, cometh the man. That is brilliant from the centre half forward, and Laois lead by 6. Is it to be the day of the underdog on what already has been a dramatic season for hurling? Matty Kenny's Dublin dominating the headlines last weekend. Well, it could be Cheddar Plunkett's tomorrow morning, but there are still 30 seconds of normal time plus stoppages remaining, and Antrim trail by 6. They're not going down without a hell of a fight. But look, speaking of fight, Lee Clear, oh, he's given away the pass. Malloy, useful ball inside. Cunning has goal on his mind all day long. Enda Rowland saves it. Enda Rowland with at least 3 saves in the second half from point blank shots from the Antrim attack. What a return he's given his manager, paying his way in spades. It's an Antrim 65. Owen Campbell to take, the wing back who suffered heartbreak at the hands of Napirsig in 2016 in an All-Ireland club final, sending it into the danger zone. Antrim of bodies there, including captain Paddy Burke, lurking with intent. McManus wants it, he's not going to get it, and Chad Dwyer rides a very heavy shoulder and bursts clear with the Schlitter. Hartnett completes the clearance. Anywhere will do, but Joe Maskey is anywhere. James Ryan Kelly. And they're looking for the hard-working skipper, Willie Dunphy. Where does he find the energy? Takes on Rooney and sends it down over the end line and wide. He's cramping up down in front of us, the Club Balacalla captain and sharpshooter. We're in stoppage time. 2:21 for the Saffrons, 2:27 for Laois. Dunphy still on the ground, and that has gone wide when Antrim needed a score ever so badly. Dunphy will probably leave the action in just a moment. Team medical support is on to help him out, and the board has indeed gone up with his number on it. Aaron Dunphy will come in place of Willie Dunphy. They're from different clubs, lest you make a connection that they're brothers. Interesting that the Antrim brothers, Kieran and Connor Johnston, they played against their dad Mickey when he was down manager a number of seasons ago. And you can't fault Willie Dunphy. 2 points from full forward, but got through a power of work and a great foil for PJ Scully on Ross King in that inside line. King, of course, dismissed for 2 yellow cards. And Laois have soldiered on with 14 in men, and indeed when Sean Downey was sin bin, they were down to 13 at one stage. They look to have weathered the storm, and they look to have a foot in the first round proper of the All-Ireland qualifiers. Cheddar Plunkett barking out the orders as Enda Rowland gets a sliotar, and Dunphy gets a huge round of applause as he high-fives some of his colleagues making his exit towards the bench, which is just at pitch level down in front of us in Parnell Park. Antrim trailing by 6, and still Laois won't relent. James Keys can't keep that in play, and Antrim got to get on with this ever so quickly. They were considering a short sideline cut. They've actually managed to give it away, and that's really clever. That will count as... No, it won't count as a score. Very opportunistic indeed. James Keys thought that they'd coughed up the sideline cut and nipped in to grab the sliotar. It wasn't to be. Instead, Joe Maskey's in possession. Gives it to Owen Campbell. And having just come up to the Liam McCarthy Cup for this season, beaten Kerry in last year's final in a famous victory for the Saffrons, it looks as if their lot is to be playing it again next year. Centre half back Paddy Burke, and captain comes forward, but he can't find a way through the blue and white jerseys. There's a ruck of them there, and Laois will fight as if their lives depended on it for every tranche of possession. Kieran McAvoy, what a shift he's put in. Pushed, tugged, and still he won't give away the split shot. He drills that out over the sideline. 3.5 stoppage time elapsed. Antrim behind by 6. 2 goals in a B. Can Conall Cunning conjure up anything majestic here? His brother, of course, Colm, an inter-county referee. Members of Dunloy forward come, and woeful attempt at goal from Sean Elliott, who did get a point since coming on in this second half, and surely that is it. As Laois get ready to make another change, Chad Dwyer is going to leave for Kieran Comerford, who did taste some action over the course of the Alliance National Hurling League, to come in. We're in the 5th minute of additional time, and the scoreboard reading: Antrim 2:21, Laois 2:27. The applause in the background is for centre half forward Chad Dwyer, thrown his lot in with the hurlers again this season. What a year it's been. A relegation playoff, league playoff coming up against Westmeath in the weeks ahead, but what a fillip, what a tonic this could be, assuming that they will deliver a victory in this preliminary All-Ireland hurling qualifier. 6 points to the good, and they've been good value for it. Neil McManus penalty miss in the second half. Just down in front of us, drawing breath, is Podge Delaney, as the sideline cut is readied down in front of us by the brilliant PJ Scully. 10 points already this afternoon. What more can you do? Well, he hasn't done anything with that cut, and with that the referee draws the curtain on proceedings. And what a victory it's been for Cheddar Plunkett. A big disappointing league with 5 defeats from 5, a hammering at the hand of Wexford a fortnight ago, but they didn't doubt. They kept coming back, and this afternoon they've delivered for their manager. They've produced their best performance of the season by some distance. A final scoreline in Parnell Park of Laois 2:27, Antrim 2:21.